Corinthian Casuals are a team in the Combined Counties League Premier Division South. Despite that, they're one of the most important clubs in world football. Here's why. The club was formed in 1939 as the result of a merger between Corinthians FC and Casuals FC. Now, Corinthians FC were founded in the late 1800s when the FA's top brass were sick of getting pumped by Scotland every time they played them. As a result, a man called Nicholas Lane Jackson set up an amateur side which would bring in the best players who could all play for the national side. And it worked. It wasn't long before England were dominating the international fixtures they played, and it was largely down to Corinthians. In fact, in 1894 and 1895, they played consecutive games where Corinthians provided the entire England 11. But the thing is, the players refused to play professional football. They didn't believe in it. They wanted to spread the values of sportsmanship, competition, and played for the love of the game. It also helped that most of the players were Oxbridge graduates who didn't need the money. But instead of entering the league and cup competitions, they played exhibition football and toured the world, bringing the beautiful game with them. And it was this which spread the game throughout the world and made it so popular. Most famously, in 1910, they travelled to Brazil. And the locals in Sao Paulo were so impressed, they started their own team under the same name. Yes, the same Corinthians who won the FIFA Club World Cup in 2021, one of the biggest football teams in Brazil. Now, they were global superstars, and despite not being professional, Corinthians drew in the crowds. Everybody wanted to play them, everybody wanted to watch them. So much so, they regularly played the winners of the FA Cup in what eventually became the Community Shield, winning most of the time. They actually inflicted Manchester United's worst defeat, 11-3, a record which still stands to this day. Now, fast forward to today, Corinthian Casuals still don't pay their staff or players. The ethos of sportsmanship is still at the heart of everything that they do. And even though they're a side in the lower leagues, if you make the trip to King George's Field in Tolworth just off the A3, you'll most likely bump into Brazilian Corinthians fans who often make the pilgrimage across the globe just to watch their founding team play.
Good morning, welcome to Sunday Edition with myself, Shaun, Custis and Henry Winter. Top of the agenda today, it's Mo Salah after his explosive interview following Liverpool's 3-3 draw at Leeds. He was left on the bench and says someone at the club wants him out. He has no relationship with boss Arnie Slot and he's been thrown under the bus. Wow. In more mundane news, Arsenal's march towards the title hit the buffers as they lost at Villa. Away from football, England are set for another miserable defeat in the Ashes cricket down under, and it's D-Day in the F1 as Lando Norris bids for the driver's crown in Abu Dhabi. And our very special guest at 10 o'clock is one of the great tennis coaches. He's Patrick Mouratoglou, who guided Serena Williams to so much Grand Slam success. He'll tell us what makes a champion. You can get in touch with the show, text us on 81089 or WhatsApp us on 03717 223344. We're also live on YouTube and your smart TV. Just search talksport.com/watch for more details. This is Sunday Edition on talkSPORT. Morning, Henry. Boy, did I have a night last night running. So online, in print, it was all going off.
How was your first edition? Did you get it for your first?
We got Mo Salah into first, and that's due to a fantastic production team that I have at the Sun, and it was all going okay to plan. You know, you had a back page up there.
Talk me through the timing. So the game finishes around 7:30. He comes out mid-zone about 8:15.
Yeah, and obviously they're doing an interview with him, but they're acutely aware that newspaper deadlines on a Sunday are about 9 o'clock. So you want
so 9 o'clock that it's off stone, as in publish, or what? So what time does it have to be filed?
You have
20 minutes before.
Yeah, you have to get it all over by 8:20, by 20 to 9, probably at the very, very latest, and you have to get it in the page. So I had a back page lead all about Arsenal dropping points, City closing in, and then you throw it all up in the air. Phone calls from Elland Road telling me you won't believe what Mo Salah said. This is incredible. You have to strip the back page. And for a lot of papers, they weren't able to do it in time for first edition. Sure. It's not easy to do. It's it's very, very tight, and you get a lot of pressure from production sites to get in. We managed to get it in, and it was sensational stuff. And then you're updating online all the time, tidying it up a little bit with reflections on what Salah had to say. And yes, it was pretty lively. You don't get ones quite like that very often. I mean, where you just say, we've got to clear the decks.
Yeah, well, I mean, media organisations are more digital operations nowadays, but that was still, to have that strong on the back page, you know, Mo, they want me out. That was very, very powerful.
No relationship with the boss, threw me under the bus. I mean, there were so many lines, you know. I mean, if you'd had the time, you'd have done spreads, analysis and all that. But
interesting, watching the video, he's actually quite measured, and there's a...
He is, but every sentence is an absolute bomb.
Is another hand grenade.
Absolutely. It was fascinating stuff, and I'm sure everything will pan out over the next few days with reactions, etc. Meanwhile, we've got a wicket in the cricket. It's John Norman.
Yes, we've got a wicket. 37 for 1 Australia. Travis Head's departed. Due reward for Gus Atkinson, who's bowled far better. Some would say he's been the best bowler for England, actually, across the course of the 2 Test matches. And trying to cut a delivery, essentially, has been Travis Head's undoing, because he's just managed to chop it onto his own stump. So Head's gone early for 22. But Australia just need 28 runs to win this match and go 2-0 up in the series. They're 37 for 1.
Head's gone. I thought that was England.
Very good. That's not going to make much difference, though, because we're going to go 2-0 down in the series. And joining us now is England great Steve Harmison, who's going to tell us where it all went wrong. Morning, Harmy.
Good morning, Henry. Good morning, Shaun.
Good morning,
heads
Harmy.
heads have gone. Heads might roll, unfortunately. 2 Test matches in. I didn't see this coming. I really didn't. I've seen England being a force in Australia, but unfortunately, whether it's lack of preparation, lack of concentration, whatever you want to say, Australia have outplayed England in all 3 facets of the game.
But what is it in the sense that, you know, I mean, we hear lots about Bazball and we're getting beaten well before the end of Test matches. It's like Brendan McCullum's the Ange Postecoglou of cricket now. It's just attack, 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 no defence whatsoever, and hey, it'll come good somewhere along the line. Surely there's got to be a bit more science to it.
Yeah, I'm pleased you said that, Shaun, because I've been wanting to say that for a couple of weeks now, and I didn't really want to disrespect Brendan McCullum by calling him Ange Postecoglou, but I think you're spot on. I think England have got this one way of playing, and unfortunately, I mean, it's not one sort of one way fits all in all different conditions. And you know, there's a lot talked about Marcus Trescothick's press conference last night. He was thrown to the wolves. I'll stick up for my mate Trez last night. He sent out with a party line. I mean, I always find it very difficult when a batting coach comes out and to do a press conference. Either don't send anybody out or get somebody from a senior player's role to front up if you are going to send out to the media. And as for Baz, yeah, McCullum, they have this way of playing. I said on our show yesterday, you know, the England team mantra, Stokes says it a lot, McCullum says it a lot, we run towards danger. And I said I'm following on Ash's inquest last night, which you can hear in about 20 minutes. I mean, you wouldn't run towards a lion if you stand in the middle of the road, would you? I mean, it's embarrassing. It really is the way England have prepared for this tour. England have gone about this tour. And unfortunately, we've seen today probably England's biggest sort of fight. And that was from Stokes and from Jacks, who played very, very well. But they got 40 and 50. And when you're in Australia, I mean, 40 and 50 is not a big score. You've got to go and get big, big scores. And as we've seen within 10 minutes of the second wicket going, England lost 3 wickets in short space of time.
But Harmy, what Jackson Stokes did show in that first session when they batted for 2 hours, It was all singles. They weren't going Bazball. It shows that England can play that way. Can I take you to the headline on the back of the Daily Mail, which is Dire Day, i.e. yesterday, that left Project Bazball on the brink. Do you think this is the end of Bazball?
Possibly. It's one of these ones, Henry. I think I've been on one of these tours. I've lost 5-0 and 4-1 in Australia, and it's not a very nice place. It's not the easiest place to tour. It's not a very nice place when you know these are the headlines. You can't get away from them, even more so now on social media. And I think you dissect that when the tour ends, because there's still quite a lot to go on this tour. I can't see England coming back. England's objective to go to Australia was probably to win 3 test matches if you wanted to win the Ashes, the way the games are, because there's no draws in cricket anymore. So they're still got to win 3 games. But I think when all's said and done, if this continues the way it is, and I'm struggling to understand England getting better from here and Australia not getting any stronger, Australia will get stronger, then I think it would be the end probably for Brendan. The way I look at it is I wouldn't want an England cricket team captained while Ben Stokes is available, not to be by Ben Stokes. Will he do the job with Brendan McCullum? I think Rob Key's done a good job at transforming English cricket in the way that we enjoy watching it. I love watching this England cricket team. I just wish we were a bit smarter. Can you have hand in hand? Can the next person come in and go, right, we want to play a similar brand, but we're going to be a bit smarter about it? Is that the evolution of this cricket team? And if that means Brendan McCullum goes, Ben Stokes stays, and whatever happens with a hierarchy, who knows? Then I think they're the conversations that need to have. But if McCullum goes, yes, Stokes can't. I think he's too valuable to this team. And I think you can see he didn't celebrate his 100 that much. That's 50 that much. He certainly didn't acknowledge his sort of teammates in the crowd, in the stand where the viewing gallery is. There's one frustrated guy there in Ben Stokes. You can see that in his performance, see that in his body language. And this is going to hurt him more than anybody else.
Who would be the candidates to succeed McCullum?
That's the problem, Henry. There's not many candidates out there. Me and Darren Goff had this one almighty rant on. I might have been, I can't remember which show it was, about 4 or 5 years ago when the 100 came about, and going, we've got this flagship tournament, 8 teams, investment from potentially coming in from around the world. We've got 8 foreign coaches. Why on earth are we not? We talk about pathway in this country about players. Why have we not got a pathway of coaches? Why isn't the 100 not our pathway to get the next England coach to be somebody from England and understand? So out there at this moment in time, from an England point of view, you've got Gareth Batty, who's won the championship 3 or 4 times for Surrey. We've had Chris Silverwood. We've had the English-type coaches. We turned our back on Jason Gillespie and Gary Kirsten when they were touted about for the job. Brendan McCullum wasn't even a coach. He's not even a coach. He's a mentor more than a coach. Will they go down and try and get Andrew Flintoff? I'm not sure it's right for Andrew Flintoff, and I'm talking as somebody who's one of his best mates. There's not many coaches will want to come and coach England for other than the money when you've got the franchise tournaments around the world, while they are so big and so prominent. So there is a little bit of a problem there.
Steve, just quickly, if you were the coach and you're approaching the 3rd test, what would you do? Any changes, and what would you say to the players?
Well, I wouldn't be going for a 4-day golf trip to Noosa, where they're going after this test match. No. I think we might be practicing a little bit more and understanding, where we are. I think the biggest thing for me, who has been involved in this and being slapped 5-0, is the boys have got to stick together. That's my main thing. I worry about what happens in January, after January. But at this moment in time, I've got to pick them up, get them ready for Adelaide, and try and get them to stick together and understand some of the mistakes they're making, and just politely, make sure that they're not making them again. Because unfortunately, that's the problem with Bazball. In the last 3.5 years, we've made the same mistake, not once, not twice, but thousands of times. And that's why we're getting all frustrated, us former players, and why this England cricket team will never, ever become a great team. They're just a good team.
Okay, Steve, just remind us where we can hear your assessment of the 2nd test.
Yeah, on the Following On podcast, the cricket podcast, as well, following on YouTube feed and also on talkSPORT too, I think.
But don't go to that till after 11 o'clock, because obviously you want to listen to the rest of the Sunday edition. Coming up next on Sunday edition, we'll look deeper at another crisis, and that's the one enveloping Liverpool.
So, we are almost ready to go. Ian Danter here in the commentary box. But it is all about whether Dean Saunders can retain the talkSPORT World Championship. To win the leg. She's got it! Gets it! Double nine! He refuses the handshake.
This is Sunday edition, and somewhat amusingly, there's been another Australian wicket in the cricket. John Norman.
Yeah, another wicket, and another wicket for Gus Atkinson. Really good lift and bounce Edge from the bat of Marnus Labuschagne. You could hear on the stump mic he was surprised by it. And Smith completed the catch. So a little bit of reward for Atkinson. 2 for 25 for him. Archer's bowling really fast as well. But Steve Smith's at the crease. He probably wants to be there. Hit the winning runs for the second match in a row. Jake Weatherall 12 not out. India, no, Australia. Australia need 23 runs to win the second test and go 2-0 up in the series. They are 42 for 2. No, you can add a few runs to that. Steve Smith on the pull. Will the ball reach the boundary? 46 for 2. Then they need 19 to win.
Yep, it won't be long now before we're 2-0 down. Now then, Mo Salah made all the headlines late last night and in today's papers. He went nuclear, basically, after he was left on the bench for Liverpool's 3-3 draw at Leeds. As Jamie Carragher, I think, made the point, he usually talks when he's got something he really wants to get off his chest. Otherwise, he doesn't really bother, and he certainly had something to get off his chest last night. Henry, before we get into the bulk of it, let's hear a little bit of what Mo Salah had to say.
I'm sitting on the bench for 90 minutes. I think that's the third time I'm in the bench. I think it's my first time in my career, but I'm very disappointed. I'm very, very disappointed, to be fair. I have done so much for this club. Everybody can see that during the years, and especially last season. Sitting on the bench, I don't know why. Seems like the club is throwing me under the bus. The club promised me in the summer for a lot of promises and nothing. So far, I'm in the bench 3 games, so I can't say that they keep the promise. And I said that many times before. I had a good relationship with the manager, and out of the sudden, we don't have any relationship. I don't know why. It seems to me, how I see it, it's someone doesn't want me in the club.
Yeah, pretty explosive that, Henry. Someone wants him out the club. He's got no relationship with the boss. Thrown under the bus. I mean, it was spectacular.
It was spectacular. I mean, the one issue I have with what he says is when he says, I've earned the right to start. This is football. This is sport. It doesn't work that way. It's performance related.
He was making the point about Harry Kane, though, wasn't he? In which he said, when Harry Kane went 10 games without a goal when he was at Spurs, people just said, oh, well, Harry Kane will score eventually and he stays in the team. Whereas if he's not, he's immediately benched, was his argument. Yeah,
I get that. And there are many Mo Salah supporters out there who will say, who will obviously back him. But the issue is does he actually contribute out of possession? If he is not playing well in terms of headline terms, in terms of stats, in terms of goals and assists, does he then contribute dropping back, tracking back and helping out his fullback, his right back, which has been a real issue with Liverpool this season? And no, he doesn't. I just think that leading into those 3 games that he's spent on the bench, I got the impression that the majority of Liverpool fans, ex-players, the beat reporters up on Merseyside were expecting him to be benched at some point, take him out of the firing line, as people say, maybe sort of rest him up and refresh him and then come back in. So, but look, he certainly deserves special treatment in terms of that he's a Liverpool legend. And a fantastic ambassador, role model for them on and off the field. So I think he deserves a special relationship there. But Liverpool's hierarchy of a decision to make now, and it's basically, do they back Mo Salah or do they back Arne Slot? And for me, and I know you've got a raised eyebrow on this, because of the way that Liverpool have been playing under Arne Slot this season, I think you have to back the manager. Rather than a 33-year-old player that you could sell to Saudi in January.
Well, I want to remember a club legend being benched for Newcastle when Ruud Gullit did it, and it cost Ruud Gullit his job the next day. Shearer went mad, wasn't happy to be on the bench, and the result was no manager. I accept it's slightly different circumstances because you're all talking about a manager who won the league last season, but it does feel like it's Salah or Slot. And you've got a game against Inter Milan coming up on Tuesday. Is he going to be on that plane? Does Slot say you're staying behind? Wow.
I do remember that night at St James's Park, chucking down with rain. That was an extraordinary night. And the race into, I think is probably the best way to say it, Ruud Gullit's managerial door at the training ground was won by Duncan Ferguson ahead of Alan Shearer. I think was sort of dropping off his kids, but he saw Duncan Ferguson sort of steaming. Absolutely, Gullit didn't survive that. But Arne Slot, whatever you think of some of his decisions this season, the recruitment, is that him or is that obviously upstairs, combination of the two? You have to back the manager in this.
For how long?
How long?
Well, because Mo Salah's...
So whose side are you on? I think you can have sympathy and understanding of both sides, but also understand that the ultimate winner has to be the manager. Otherwise, it's anarchy.
If you have faith that the manager can turn this around, he's had bad results, and now it seems he's lost some of the dressing room. Some players apparently are quite supportive of Salah's situation.
Yeah, but players will be supportive of Salah's situation in terms of he's a friend, they have respect for him, they admire him. But that doesn't necessarily mean they want also to throw the manager under the bus. It's a slightly dangerous road to go down if you're saying, right, you know, the highest paid player at the club effectively is picking the manager.
As Slot made the point, he goes off to the Africa Cup of Nations after next weekend, and nothing can be solved before January anyway. He'll go away to there. By the time he comes back, Liverpool might have lost another 4 games and Slot might not be the boss. It's possible.
It is possible, but then what do you do? Who would you bring in? Whose side are you on this? Do you believe in...
I think every player should... there's no player bigger than the club. As Salah made the point himself, he thinks he's earned the right to start all the time, even when he's in a...
But he hasn't on his performances this season.
No, I agree with
you. Look,
the manager should be able to drop him. Where I had an issue was when he was asked why you didn't put Salah on. His answer really didn't convince. He sort of stumbled around. He didn't have a logical argument for not putting Salah on late on.
So you think they're non-footballing reasons? In terms
I genuinely don't know. I don't.
Do you think Mo Salah will be at Liverpool at the end of January?
Yeah, I think it's possible. I do think it's possible.
You see, my feeling when they gave him the contract, and a lot of so far brighter minds than mine up in the Northwest were saying this, is that at least it gives Liverpool the safety net of a chunky transfer fee in January from the Saudis.
You see, some people interpreted Salah's comments as him saying, I want to leave. I don't see anywhere where he said he wanted to leave. He sort of accused the club of trying to force him out. He didn't specifically name Slot as the person who was trying to force him out. In fact, somebody asked him, was it the sporting director? And he didn't want to get into it. But he certainly feels, I think he maybe feels it's Slot plus maybe the board as well.
I don't think he could have been Slot on his own. I don't think that would have to be...
Do you think he has to write past the board saying, I'm going to leave Mo Salah on the bench and I will not be bringing him on against Leeds United?
No. Do you think he would do?
Well,
it has to be the coach's decision.
Okay, we shall see what we shall see. Will he go to Milan? That's the big question. This is Sunday Edition on talkSPORT. And next up, we look at the rest of yesterday's action.
There's a lot of talk about the independent football regulator. Some people love the sound of it, others don't. But what actually is it? And is it going to be any good for the game? In simple terms, it'll be an organisation not controlled by the Premier League, the EFL or the government, which will make sure all clubs are financially stable and don't rip off the fans. The aim is to make sure what happened to Bury, Derby and Reading doesn't happen again. Now, a significant reason clubs go under is because of dodgy owners financially mismanaging the club and running it into the ground. But in theory, these should be a thing of the past with the new regulator. They'll be able to use data from the National Crime Agency to perform stronger fit and proper persons tests and can even force owners to give up their stake in a club, which for certain supporters might be a welcome relief. It's likely good news for the EFL. The tension between them and the Premier League over a fair financial deal has been increasing in recent years. As it stands, talks have broken down. The Premier League backed out of recent negotiations, but the regulator will have the power to force through a deal, meaning more money for clubs lower down the pyramid. Now, this might sound simple, but in reality there's concerns this will open a legal can of worms, which could result in messy court cases involving the Premier League and the regulator. Parachute payments will be brought under the control of the regulator too. If they reduce them, it could mean a wider variety of clubs securing promotion to the top flight, but critics reckon it'll just mean the gap between the Premier League and EFL actually widens, as promoted clubs won't get as much money, which should normally be used to buy better players so they can compete. And current Premier League clubs have said if there were no parachute payments, they'd actually invest less, which would harm the quality of the top flight. And if clubs don't invest, then you'll get exactly what the EFL don't want, which is the same 3 clubs going down every year. And remember when Cardiff's owners changed the club's colours and badge? Well, in future, fans will have to approve any major changes to their club's heritage. Now, that might all sound great, but do we really need it? Some say the downfall of Reading and Bury is an exception, not the rule. So as a whole, the most successful footballing pyramid in world football doesn't need regulation.
Yeah, this is Sunday Edition with Shaun, Custis and Henry Winter, where we have news that England have just lost the second Ashes Test by 8 wickets. John Norman.
Yes, they've lost, and they've lost big time, and they've lost in a manner which was really symbolic of the performance at the Gabba over the last 3.5 days, with Steve Smith rocking back and smashing Gus Atkinson into the stands for a 6. I mean, where do you start with one of the worst performances, even for England, even at the Gabatoir? This is right down there. It's been appalling. They won a helpful toss. They then batted poorly on day 1. They bowled poorly on day 2 and fielded even worse on day 2 and 3. And then when they came out and had a chance to make amends on day 3, they somehow managed to bat even worse. Today, there'll be some crumbs of comfort. The fact they batted through the session without losing a wicket, yes. But at the end of the day, England have been distinctly second best in all facets of the game, and I'll throw in captaincy there as well. Australia have run out deserved victors, 8 wicket winners, and now unfortunately England have got a 10-day break with a 4-day golfing trip before they come back and try and do it all over again at Adelaide in the 3rd test, but they're going to do so 2-0 down.
John, that's always what I feel I deserve after a bad day at work, is a 4-day golfing trip. I have an elite tabloid sports editor to my right who's absolutely licking his lips with all the sort of the cliches and headlines that he can throw at the England players below par, in a bunker and all that when they're pictured out playing golf. Obviously it's a bad image, but should they be in the nets or maybe playing a shorter game? They've obviously got more and more time. Or do they need this psychologically just to clear their heads?
Well, look, it's 10 days between now and the 3rd test match. You can't go in the nets for 10 days. You've got to stay in the country. And what are you supposed to do? Really, whatever you do, you're going to get picked apart by the press. The important thing here is just how poor England have been. You know, naughty boy nets or a golfing trip is yes, it's meat and drink for the tabloids and for the broadsheets to pick apart over the next few days, because of course there's very little to talk about other than what England are up to, because England have stunk the place out. You know, this was not a close contest. There's no what ifs, there's no ums and ahs, there's no a decision going your way or a decision going against. England have been wretched in this test match, and really it just brings back into focus that afternoon session on day 2 at Perth. This is why all the journalists, all of those who follow cricket, were so aghast. This is why the travelling thousands who went to Australia were as angry as I have ever seen an England cricket fan get. They were furious because England threw away the chance at Perth. They should have been 1-0 up, and then there's pink ball test, which was always really going to go the way of Australia. England don't play it for all the reasons that we know, Mitchell Starc and all that. Throwing away Perth meant they went to this test match needing to win, and of course they haven't just lost, they have been beaten out of sight. So whatever they were going to do between now and Adelaide, I mean, I don't know what to say. The damage has been done. They could draft in another 11 players and send this lot home. It wouldn't make any difference. So, go off, play your golf. You're going to get papped. You're going to have to just grin and bear it. And then you're going to have to come back at Adelaide and try and put a performance on the board and try somehow to get a bit of pride back and try it somehow miraculously, and Christmas is a time for miracles, to win a game and get back into the Ashes series.
John, at the risk of sounding like an England football fan, does the Barmy Army or, the cricketing public, as you say, there's thousands of them out there probably working out what they're going to do tomorrow. Do they ever put or have calls for the manager to go, or do they just accept that?
I think when we mention the Barmy Army, we basically group all England touring fans together. When the Barmy Army are just one touring group within many, and you only have to go to, in football parlance, you just go to a football ground and you'll see very distinct groups of football fans. It's the same in cricket. Now, I remember being out in Sydney in 2006-07. England lost 5-0. And on the last day, the Barmy Army section of the crowd went round and sang a song to every single player on the field. And I remember sitting there thinking, wow, if this was football, my team's 5-0 down, the last 10 minutes of a game, the football fans aren't picking out all of the footballers and singing them positive songs. But this is the way the Barmy Army go about their business, and fair play to them. They were born from wretchedness, the 90s, watching England as a cricket fan. That's where they came from, and it's about supporting the team through thick and thin, come what may. So they will never, ever, the Barmy Army section of the supporter group will never, ever call for the heads of anyone. But they are not all Barmy Army. There are thousands of cricket fans there who've got no affiliation to the Barmy Army, and you saw those fans at Perth. They were not quite calling for people's heads. It's a little bit early in the day for that, but they were furious with the way that England have gone about their cricket on the afternoon and the evening session at Perth. Furious. I've never seen it. I've never seen England fans as angry as what they were in Perth on day 2. If England carry on like this, then yeah, it's going to get pretty nasty, because you know what? There's another 20,000 English watching this here in England, and they have spent a fortune to head out for the Melbourne and Sydney test matches, the 2 weeks off, flights to Australia around Christmas, hotels in Melbourne and Sydney, two of the most expensive cities on earth. If they rock up and England are 3-0 down and still playing like this, then yeah, you're going to see some real anger, I think, directed at the England team, but not from those associated with the Barmy Army.
John Norman, thank you. We look forward to the third test with relish. Cheers, John. I don't know.
The golf trip. I mean, the fact that the golf trip is actually technically going to last longer than this test.
Test, unbelievable. But I suppose, what do you do? Do you sit around? How much time can you spend in the nets? Do you sit around the rest of the time moping? It's just the optics, as we say.
The optics. I'm sure they'll be doing community batting and bowling sessions with local Australian kids. Say no, we're fine with how we're developing ourselves.
Right, very quick roundup of yesterday's Premier League action. You did want to talk a little bit about the actual game between Leeds and Liverpool, which is 3-3, and fair play to Leeds. They've had two cracking results this week. Fantastic.
The players, the manager. I mean, we keep talking about the future of individuals within the game. Daniel Farke. I mean, the players are playing for him.
Well, he changed tactics as well, didn't he?
He did change tactics, and he needed that. He clipped his wings a couple of times, and they've had two good results this week and 4 points. And Dominic Calvert-Lewin, first, he can take a penalty, and second, he's fit at the moment, which is obviously always a big caveat with him. England,
No.
Well, sorry, we always have this debate about who's after Harry Kane.
Playing all right,
Ollie Watkins has been playing well, and Morgan Rogers played brilliantly yesterday. But in terms of the number 9s, do you still feel that it's obviously Harry Kane, Ollie Watkins, Marcus Rashford? Delat went off injured yesterday. Calvert-Lewin, you love Danny Welbeck, but Calvert-Lewin, I can guarantee, I know he's not great for your headlines because he's a long name, but I bet DCL, Calvert-Lewin, no?
You were trying to get
he played well yesterday.
When he's back as well. But I just don't see it. So good performance.
Yep.
Not so clever by Liverpool, who had it in their grasp twice and didn't take it. However, the day started with Arsenal losing at Aston Villa. Very good Villa performance, and we suddenly woke up to the fact that Villa are 3 points off the top.
Yeah, well, they got Tielemans back, who makes such a difference. I thought he was outstanding in midfield. He led the press. Him and McGinn were just terrific. Morgan Rogers, for me, was man of the match. I thought he was absolutely outstanding.
Oh, that number 10 role for England, Henry.
Let's not go into that debate again. We know where that one's heading, via Real Madrid. No, he is Rogers. He just looks like he really feels he belongs at this level. Because he's had an interesting route up. He is bossing games, and so it was brilliant to see. And I mean, Arsenal possibly were unlucky. I mean, a draw would not have flattered them. They're missing Gabriel and Saliba. But they've also, everyone's saying this is the best squad that they've ever had. So, it was just that intensity. But you know who goes slightly under the radar, if he can go under the radar, as the second best paid manager in the Premier League, is Unai Emery. I mean, it's
former Arsenal manager.
Arsenal manager. So he will have enjoyed that. I mean, he was very sort of diplomatic. But what an amazing job he's doing there. That intensity, that organisation. We see it with all these teams, but really, they're all taking responsibility, whether it's Matty Cash, whether it's Ollie Watkins, who's gradually coming back into form, whether it's Morgan Rogers flourishing, but Tielemans, again, outstanding.
And who would have thought struggling Man City in there, 2 points behind, comprehensive victory over Sunderland. Sorry about that, Sunderland. But it was a fairly easy win.
I went to a party last night hosted by Sunderland fans, and they were and I was saying, are you going to get into Europe? And they said, we do not want to go into Europe. We haven't got the squad. They were very measured. They're loving the season, staying up mid-table. Didn't want to be top 10. They said 11th will be absolutely fine. So very measured. But Phil Foden. I mean, I know we're not allowed to mention England number 10, but Phil Foden, how well is he playing?
Cole Palmer will be back. Well, I mean, he is back, but, we'll be getting a run of games together probably to try and get Chelsea back on track again. I mean, really.
And yesterday showed that Eze is more 10 than out wide.
But Eze is being accommodated out, is being pushed out there because they've got to get Odegaard back. It looks like difficult.
Can
to
the two of them play together? We're having another Lampard, Gerrard.
I know. I think it's very difficult. Lots of questions to be asked. We could try to get through the rest of the games, but I haven't got time because this is Sunday edition on talkSPORT, where we're turning our attention to Formula One and the final race today in Abu Dhabi. Now then, talkSPORT has teamed up with Pitch Experiences to bring you an all-out VIP experience at the PDC World Darts Championship at Alexandra Palace on 23rd of December.
You and 3 mates could be living it large with platinum seats, fine dining, a complimentary bar and exclusive access to the 501 lounge with Russ the Voice Bray. Then it's straight to your prime table for the best view in the house as the darts drama unfolds. Get ready for an unforgettable Ali Pali Christmas. Here's how to enter.
Yep, for your chance to win, text darts to 83338. Text costs £2 plus your standard network rate, or call 0343 421 7508. Lines close 4 p.m. 18th of December. That's when you'll need to answer your phone if it rings. 18 plus. For UK residents only. So for your chance to win, text darts to 83338 now. This is a network promotion. Full T's and C's at talksport.com. Okay, Grand Prix time now, and we're focusing on Abu Dhabi, which is the final race in the F1 World Championship this season. It all comes down to this one. It can still be won by our own Lando Norris, Max Verstappen, or Oscar Piastri. Here to look at the runners and riders, James Allen, top F1 journalist. Morning, James.
How you doing, guys?
Very good. How's the atmosphere? How are you feeling about Lando's chances of landing the big one?
I feel good about Lando's chances of landing the big one. He was quite cautious yesterday during the qualifying session, but he just wanted to get himself up the front of the grid. Obviously, Max Verstappen's got nothing to lose. He was all out and took a pole position in classic sort of Max Verstappen aggressive style. But Norris is where he wants to be. He only needs to finish on the podium today, and he needs to keep remembering that, because if he tries to go out and win the race and beat Verstappen, then, who knows, it might end in tears. What he's got to worry about is the threat from behind a lot more, which is his own teammate, Oscar Piastri, who starts in 3rd place. That's not good enough for Piastri. He has to win the race and hope that Verstappen and Norris are off the podium in order for Piastri to win the championship. So does he try and be a hero into the first corner? Does he try and get ahead of his teammate, try and get ahead of Verstappen into turn 1 and on the opening lap? Or does he play a team game and back up Norris, and then we'll see where we go from there? The other big threat is George Russell in the Mercedes, who was very fast in qualifying but made a mistake in the final run. Otherwise, I think he could well have been in front of both McLarens on the grid. So it's a relief for Norris that he isn't, but Russell will be a threat in the race. If Norris can come out of the first lap in 2nd place with his teammate behind him, then he's got control of the situation, because it doesn't matter whether Verstappen wins the race or not. Norris just needs to finish 2nd or 3rd, and he's the world champion.
Of course, Norris isn't always the best starter. There's quite a bit of pressure on him on this start. So in some ways, maybe it didn't matter if he was pole or 2nd, because, I don't know, he just never seems to get off to a great start.
Well, he does, and he's had some very dominant wins this year. I mean, he was peerless in Mexico and Brazil.
Not never, but sometimes he's had his moments.
No, exactly, and that's the point. Is it's the as you and Henry well know, the point about being a top professional is repeatability. You need to do the best thing repeatably every single time. And as a Liverpool fan, I rather wish my team was doing that now, like they did it last year. But from Formula 1 point of view, Norris needs a clean start. He needs to have his best clear-headed sort of getaway off the line, and then control things in his way from there. But this is a tricky place as well. There's so many complications in Formula 1 always. The thing is, if you can imagine the grid going into the first corner, which is a left-handed corner, the fastest car, the pole position, starts on the racing line on the right-hand side, which is the outside of that corner. Why? Because that's where all the rubber is laid down throughout the weekend, and that's where all the grip is. So you get more grip on that side than you do on the side when Norris is starting. Now, Piastri's on that right-hand side where all the grip is. So there's a risk that he gets better grip off the line. And then, as I say, he could threaten Norris, who's also got a tighter line into that first corner. So there is a lot of jeopardy for Norris. And, Formula 1 World Championships aren't won and lost at the first corner of a race, but they definitely can be lost there.
James, what's Lando Norris like?
What's he like? He is pretty much as he comes across on telly. He's very, very self-critical. I mean, I've rarely met a Formula 1 driver who blames himself and sort of flagellates himself when he gets something wrong. I think the people around him wish he was a bit less like that, but then that's authentic. That's the way that he is. He's extremely well educated. He's very smart. He's very curated. His dad, had him in simulators from a very young age. Lando's passion for the sport came because him and his dad used to play video games on the sofa together when he was little, and then he put him in a go-kart, and Lando was really good at it and just got better and better. And then Zach Brown and McLaren sort of nurtured him and brought him through the ranks, and this is the culmination of that journey. So, you know, you can have a really good chat with Lando. He's quite relaxed. He's good fun. He's a nice guy, and he's got a charisma. I think it's no coincidence that in the big global F1 fan survey that was done this year, he's the most popular driver with female fans, which is now 42% of the fan base. He's a very sort of appealing, attractive character.
There's been a bit of mind games going on, James. You know, Verstappen giving it the Chucky's coming to get you, and trying to crank it up a little bit. And there's no doubt that Verstappen has that way with him that gets into people's heads.
You know, as you and Henry know well from covering sport, you know, long careers, what you want in sport when you're on top is an inevitability. You want to go into a football match with an inevitability. You're going to get the first goal and then hold on and close it out. In a Grand Prix situation, you want an inevitability about the way you go racing. And Verstappen, with his 4 titles and his tremendous record, and the fact that he just doesn't overthink things. I think the big difference between him and Norris is that Norris is a bit of an overthinker, whereas Verstappen doesn't overthink things. He just is a natural, instinctive racer who's also highly intelligent and developed his craft and just delivers every single time. And that carries that inevitability. And if we remember that back in August, I think it was, 9 races ago, he was 105 points behind the championship lead. If he wins the world title today, it's the greatest comeback in the history of our 75-year history of our sport. It's an astonishing position. I mean, you know, you're up against a formidable rival there, that's for sure.
So what would that mean if he did stage this remarkable comeback?
Well, it would be the greatest comeback in the history of the sport. But I think you also have to kind of go a layer down as well. Because if you remember, with the Red Bull team, the start of the year wasn't what they wanted at all. And in fact, Christian Horner, the team principal who'd brought them all the success for the last 20 years, got sacked just after the British Grand Prix. And they brought in Laurent Mekies, who was running this sort of the B team in Formula One, which is called Racing Bulls. And Laurent's background is as an engineer. And he went into that team and he banged some heads together and said, listen, I don't care who's blaming who for what. We're not going to win anything if you're all blaming each other. Let's fix the problem. Let's fix this car and see what we can get out of this championship. And they all fell into line. Verstappen obviously is undoubted number 1 in that team. So everything is set up for his success. Unlike McLaren, where they have to, you know, they have these very fair rules between them, which have sometimes got in the way. And frankly, McLaren have left the door open for Verstappen to be in this position because of their sort of obsession with trying to treat both drivers fairly. So it's a bit like the old Schumacher days. There was only one driver in the team that mattered, and in this case, it's Verstappen, and the whole team is lined up behind him. And you know, he's got a very fast car, but he can't do it on his own. He needs some luck today, and you know, Formula One luck can go either way.
Just quickly on former British world champion, of course, Lewis Hamilton. Another terrible day for him. He seems absolutely bereft, no answers, crashed out in practice. What do you think the future is for him, James?
That's a really, really good question. I don't think any of us 12 months ago, with bearing in mind, last time we were in Abu Dhabi 12 months ago, it was McLaren versus Ferrari for the team's world championship. And in the end, it went McLaren's way, but it was really, really close. So everyone thought, you know, Lewis Hamilton going to Ferrari, they're going to build on this year and they'll be right at the front. And he hasn't even scored a podium finish, let alone a win. The last few races, he's been eliminated in the first part of qualifying, which is really for the back markers and the sweepers uppers, if you like, at the back. So it's humiliating for him. And I don't think he really understands what's going on. He's questioning himself. Is it me or is it the car? It's not the car, because his teammate Charles Leclerc is up the front towards the front of the grid. It's not a winning car, but it's a good car. So what's the future for him? I think he'll see how good the car is next year. We've got completely new rules for next year. So there's a chance Ferrari might get themselves back in the game. And if the car is competitive and he feels competitive, he might carry on. But I would say that there's a fair chance that you might see Lewis Hamilton retiring at the end of next season, because you know, if it isn't a winning proposition that's going to give him another title and lots of race wins, I think it's going to be hard for him. He's in that classic burnout situation where all the effort he's putting in is not yielding results, and he's just kind of in that spiral, and you can see it in his eyes and you can hear it in his words.
Given what he's achieved in his long, distinguished career, do you think he's still properly appreciated enough?
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, he is statistically the greatest driver of all time. It's obviously hard to see somebody, going through that. It's not unlike what's going on with Mo Salah right now. I mean, he had one of the greatest seasons ever in the Premier League last year, and he's having a terrible time right now, including obviously the comments he made overnight, which I woke up to this morning. So. Yeah, I mean, it happens. Age is a factor in both cases, potentially. Lewis is 41, will be 41 in January. It's difficult to be sort of super competitive deep into your 40s in this sport. It's the peak years for a Formula One driver are sort of 26 to 32, 33, typically. But I mean, he's had immense success in his 30s, and he's belied the years. So, but none of us know if he's still got it. I don't think he knows if he's still got it.
Okay, just put you on the spot. What's going to happen today, James?
Like I said at the beginning, it's all at the start. If McLaren play a team game at the start and Piastri doesn't try and win the world title in the first corner, Norris gets away. I think Norris wins the World Championship. Any other outcome, and anything could happen.
Let's hope he can do it, James. And well done for shoehorning football into the conversation. Always pleases Henry, that, doesn't it, H?
Always try.
Good luck, Lando Norris. Next up, it's another sport change-up as we focus on tennis.
What do you get when some of the most individual sports stars club together? Well, a melting pot of history, tension, rivalry, friendship and elite stories. Here are some of the best off-camera anecdotes from the Ryder Cup. Number 1, Tiger's loo roll. The protagonist, Lee Westwood's former caddy, Billy Foster, said in a toilet cubicle at the Belfry. As he went to relieve his first morning nerves, Foster noticed only one of the 2 cubicles had loo roll, and while he was seated, in came a tiger into the empty cubicle and he realised his mistake all too late. So Foster took some paper, reached under the cubicle with a rescue offering, and as Tiger went to take it, Foster uttered the words, "Europe, one up." As it happened, Europe did go on to win. Fast forward 10 years to the miraculous Medina, when, after a gruelling Saturday, Rory McIlroy overslept on the Sunday and was in danger of missing his tee time. Thankfully for him, the person booking player transport was Erica Stoll. She sorted him a police escort to the course. 3 years later, McIlroy proposed in Paris. The next story is told by Scottish legend Sam Torrance about the great Seve, who apparently despised the Americans mainly because of a diminutive US reporter who kept calling him Steve.
Hey, my name is Severiano Jose. It's no Steve, it's no Steve. Next day, Steve.
Torrance also tells of how Seve regularly gave coaching clinics to his European teammates, but a week later at the Italian Open, when the same players asked for advice, Seve would tell them to and see you next year. Having started with a Billy Foster story, let's finish with one from the 12th tee at Oakland Hills in 2004. It was Jimenez and Garcia against Westwood and Clark in a practice round, and as they finished, Foster decided to jump in the buggy and speed away with all their clubs, only to lose control entirely and tumble onto the course and see it careering towards the spectators. Thankfully, the Red Sea parted and the buggy smashed into a tree, with viewers and clubs still intact.
Yeah, this is Sunday Edition with Shaun, Custis and Henry Winter, where we've got an hour to go. And it may seem an odd time of the year to be talking tennis, but we're delighted to, because we are joined in the studio this morning by one of the greatest tennis coaches of all time. His name is Patrick Mouratoglou. You may have seen him on the sidelines at Wimbledon, chivying along his various players, everybody from Serena Williams, Coco Gauff, Stefanos Tsitsipas, Simona Halep, Holger Rune, many more. He's got a book out now, which is called Champion Mindset, How to Make Yourselves Winners, not just at tennis, but in life. Patrick, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm good, thank you.
Patrick, tell me, what makes a great tennis coach?
Ooh, that's a good question.
And how did you become one?
Okay, so that's two different questions. I didn't intend to become one. I mean, the opportunity arrived and I took it. My goal was to have the best academy in the world, to create it, and to help young players become champions. And I mean, if you want the story, it's a bit long, but I mean, I'm going to make it short. So I had a coach who sold me his name. He was the greatest coach at that time. His name was Bob Brett, Australian. So I called it Bob Brett Academy, and he was coming a certain number of days per year. And after 6 years, the academy was famous. He left and he started his own tennis academy. And I thought it was the worst investment I ever made, because I built a brand that was just going away from me. So I thought, I'm not going to do the same mistake twice. So I put my name, but I was not a coach. So I put all my team together and I said, guys, this is what's going to happen. This academy will become Mouratoglou Academy, but I have to become a coach and I have to win Grand Slams. And everybody laughed in the room. They said, but what are you talking about? You never gave a tennis lesson in your life and you tell us you're going to win a Grand Slam? And I said, guys, you're right. I don't know anything about coaching, but be careful. I learned fast.
So you weren't even a player or anything?
No, I was a player, but not professional. I never became professional because my parents didn't want me to do this career. They wanted me to study. I was a good junior. But when I was 15, 16, I stopped.
So how does somebody like Serena Williams think, I tell you what, I'll go and see Patrick. He's the man to continue my dynasty and bring me more and more Grand Slam titles?
It didn't happen overnight. Of course, it took many years for me to know my job and to be successful at my job. And I was successful with all the players I worked with before Serena. So she thought at some point in her career, I guess she thought I need something new. She was at a difficult time. She didn't win a Grand Slam for 2 years. She lost in the first round of Roland Garros. And she called me right after this day. She came to my tennis academy and this is where it started.
It's quite rare for a coach to coach a player for that length of time, like you did for like 10 years. I mean, obviously in Britain, Emma Raducanu famously changes coaches as often as she changes socks. I mean, every 5 minutes. Why is it, or what should she do you think, to get some consistency? And why do the players change their coaches so much?
You are totally right. The average collaboration time between a player and a coach on WTA Tour is 6 months. Wow. Which is completely crazy if you think about it, because our job is to build a project for a player. You don't build a project in 6 months. And if you change your project every 6 months, you're not going to go anywhere. So it's a big key. And if you look at all the top players, the very successful ones, they've been with the same team for, 4, 5, 6 years, maybe sometimes even more. So that's definitely a key. And players have to figure out who are the good people for them, trust them on a longer period. The problem is, in a way, when you get rid of your coach, you're basically saying, I'm not the one responsible for the result, that's him, which is probably the case too, because I think the responsibility is shared. Our job also is to find a way to have our players be successful. So I always thought it was my responsibility, but I think it's important that the player takes his. And it's about trusting a process. If you don't trust the process and you question the process every time you have a problem, you're not going to go very far.
When you have such a talent as Serena Williams, how much of your role is technical, working on deficiencies, if she had any in her game, and how much of it is psychological?
So the question of the talent is a real question. If it's not of interest for you, I'm not going to develop it more, but I don't think the top players are defined by the talent at all. I think their talent is in their head. By the way, that's the topic of my book.
Point of the book. Yeah.
Yeah, but I've worked with a lot of champions. I know a lot of, incredible champions in many other sports. I spend a lot of time with them, with friends. And I can tell you, those people don't think the same way as the other people. They don't process the same way. And that's what makes them successful. And I think people who are very talented, it's a burden more than anything else, because it gives people the feeling, those people talented, that they can't succeed without doing the efforts, which is definitely not true. I played this game with Holger Rune when I was coaching him to make him understand what it was about to be successful. I told him, okay, define Serena in one word, define Novak Djokovic in one word. And I did this with all the champions. Not once he said talent. That's not about talent. Of course, you need a little bit of talent, but the real talent is how you process, how you think, and everything. So coming back to your question, my job is mostly mental, of course, but there is always technical, there is always tactical, but it's the mind that drives everything. So if the mind is not right, and I explain in the book that when I started with Serena, of course, I think she has the best mindset for sports and for life to be successful I've ever seen. She's unbelievable. She thinks she can achieve anything. She, that's crazy. And I barely met someone like her. But, she had a lot of difficult moments just before we started. Didn't win a Grand Slam for 2 years, etc. So she started to doubt a bit more than she used to. And she started to think different than before. That's also why she was not successful at that time. And my main job with her, when I started with her, was just to find a way to make her think like before. And we did. And, right after we started, she won Wimbledon in singles and doubles. Then she won the Olympics, 2 gold medals. Then the US Open. Then the Masters at the end of the season. And she coming back to number 1, where she stayed 3.5 years. And it was just about the mindset. Just little things that made such a big difference.
Shaun and I have spent most of our careers covering football. And if you look at the England football team, the mindset of them is a majority of the players has been shaped by something, whether it's adversity, something that's happened in their youth, whether it was bullying, whether it was their parents splitting up, whether it was all sorts of issues. How then do you maintain that over a 20-year career, that hunger and that desire to prove yourself when you've got all these trophies and this wealth?
No, first of all, I agree 100% with you. I mean, the strongest people are built through adversity. I don't think I know one exceptional person, whether it's in sports or in music or in movies or in business, who hasn't gone through really tough things. But it's about finally getting winner out of those things that give them also the inner power to do a lot of things. To come back to your question, that's definitely a challenge, and that was a challenge for Serena. I was always challenging her. That's what she needed. Everybody's different. I don't think there is a recipe, and that's what's great about our job, because each player is so different that you have to find ways to get their motivation out, to communicate with them. All those things are different every time. So for Serena, it was all about challenges. I was always giving her challenges. I give you one example. When she when she told me she really wanted to win Roland Garros, which was the tournament that was really difficult for her. She won it in 2002, and then she didn't win it for 10 years. So after she came back to number one, she said to me, okay, my next challenge is to win Roland Garros. It was a good challenge for her. Great. She was very motivated. And she said, please think what we should do, make a project for me to win Roland Garros. So I did, and actually she won Roland Garros the year we talked about it. She didn't lose one single match on clay this whole season. During Madrid, I told her, okay, you're going to play that tournament. You have only one serve. You're not allowed to hit a first serve. Why did I do that? First, challenge. Super exciting for her. She was number one, so she was confident. She could deal with that challenge. And I thought, if she wins Madrid without her first serve, which is her main weapon, she's going to come to Roland Garros with crazy confidence, and she will need it because she wants it so bad that she will feel pressure. And she did. And second, I wanted her to have a lot of time rallying, because clay is really special. So without the first serve, she would have to rally every single point to win it. So she did, and she won it. That's an example. And then after, there were the records. So I told her that she could beat Evert and Navratilova's record. She did. Then I said, okay, that's great, you did that, but now we have to beat Steffi Graf's record. And I remember just 1 month before equaling potentially, because she was about to play the US Open Steffi Graf record, she said, you made me believe I could win one more Grand Slam when I had 13 and I thought I was done. Then you made me believe that I could beat Evert and Navratilova, and now Steffi Graf. What's next? She was already thinking about what's her next challenge. So she always needed that. But everybody's different. Maybe it's not true for everyone. I think it's very important to have a goal somewhere that makes you dream, that gives you this motivation to go out there and work hard and fight every single day. But the way to do it is different for everyone.
And you will be able to read all about what makes a champion in Patrick's book, Champion Mindset. And next up, we'll do our Best of the Best feature with our special guest, Patrick Muratoglu.
So, we are almost ready to go. Ian Danter here in the commentary box. It is all about whether Dean Saunders can retain the talkSPORT World Championship. To win the leg. She's got it! Gets it! Double nine! He refuses the handshake.
This is Sunday Edition with Shaun, Custis and Henry Winter. We're with you till 11 o'clock this Sunday morning, and now it's time for this.
One of the greatest tries ever scored, but she won't get there. Kaylee Hodgkinson is the Olympic champion.
I'm going to float like a butterfly and sting like a bee.
Oh, Stephen Harmison, one of the great balls. Double 12! Oh, my word!
Best of the best on Sunday Edition.
I think I'm a special one.
I think he's done it! Yes! You beauty!
Let's be having you!
On talkSPORT.
Yes, it's Best of the Best, where me and Henry discuss the best of a certain subject. And this morning we're focusing on tennis because we're with our special guest, genius coach Patrick Muratoglu. He's coached Serena Williams, Coco Gauff, Stefanos Tsitsipas, Simona Halep and Holger Rune, among many more. And we thought it'd be good to ask him who the best tennis players have been in his lifetime. And I'd like to start with the male ones, because you've tended to concentrate on female ones, haven't you? It feels like if Williams is 10 years as Serena Williams.
That's true.
I mean, in my lifetime, it feels like Djokovic has been the greatest there's ever been and almost impenetrable. I can't imagine even what you would say to some of your players when they're in action against him, because he just looks like impossible to beat. I know he's getting on a bit now.
You're right. There were two guys that were giving the feeling that it was impossible to win at some point, was Novak Djokovic and Rafael Nadal on clay. Yeah. Rafael Nadal on clay is a nightmare. So if the question is who's the greatest, I think there is only one answer possible. It's Novak Djokovic, because he beat all the records possible, all the achievements. He's the one who was the more weeks at number one in the world, the one who won the most Grand Slams, the most Masters 1000. I mean, there is no discussion. Now, who played the best tennis? I think it was Roger Federer. That was a genius playing tennis. I don't think anyone will ever play such incredible tennis that he did. And I think that's very interesting, coming back to the mindset, because I think Djokovic is the strongest mindset on the men's tour in the history. And he made his career only with that, because if you think about it, I mean, this is an opinion, but an opinion of someone who knows a little bit about tennis. I don't think he is even close to having the weapons of Roger Federer or Rafael Nadal. Not even close. If you think about it, Roger's game is, outstanding. He has so many weapons in his game. Rafael Nadal's forehand is unique in the history. He's a lefty. He's a physical machine. Like, Novak had nothing of this. And if you look at his game, he doesn't have even something outstanding. But he became the greatest of all times because he's the strongest man and the most professional. And that's part of his, by the way, his strengths. His attention to details is unreal. Like, I've never seen something like this in my life. The guy, I went to the restaurant with him and he says, "Oh, I would like to have a salad, but I want 80 grams of carrots, 120 grams of this." Like, everything is under control to a point that I've never seen. And that's why he became the greatest, because he wanted it so badly. He was so driven. He was paying attention to every detail I mean, at a point that you cannot even imagine. And when it was coming to the big moments, the guy had such a mental strength. This is why Djokovic became the greatest.
What happens to players with that mentality when the music stops, when they're not playing? How do they cope with that?
You mean when they stop?
When they stop playing? Yeah.
I think they bring this mindset to other topics, whether it's politics or business or whatever. I think this mindset is a life mindset.
So the adrenaline continues, that dedication continues.
That's a good point. The difficult thing for all the ex-athletes is the lack of adrenaline when they stop. So they have to find other ways to get adrenaline. Can be many other ways. They can do crazy sports, dangerous sports, for example, or they can find adrenaline in other activities and can be business. I mean, of course, it will never be the same adrenaline, and that's probably why also Serena's. I mean, there is all this discussion about her potentially coming back. I mean, for all of them, it's difficult. It's something is missing.
I think she said no to that, hasn't she?
She did.
I presume you're going to tell me that Serena Williams is the greatest female player of all time, but it's a tough field. Ever, Navratilova, Graf, Billie Jean King. I mean, is she, for you, the best female of all time?
Serena?
Yeah.
The same. There is no discussion in terms of achievements.
Yeah, but I mean, you know, you have got some before that, Navratilova and Billie Jean King, who made the women's game. I know you've got to go back a long way.
I mean,
King, but
I don't want to be disrespectful to anyone, and definitely the ones you named played an incredible role. The first one in creating the WTA. There was no women's tennis before Billie Jean King. The other one bringing the game to another level, and a great level, and also a more creative level. But Serena, I think, changed tennis forever, and her achievements are. I mean, we know there is one woman who has more Grand Slams than her, but I never paid too much attention to that because at that time tennis was not a professional sport, so it was basically. I mean, you can't compare. I mean, there were 16 players in the draw. There was no professional player, so to say this, to compare this with a professional sport, that doesn't make sense. So she's the greatest, without any doubt.
Okay, Djokovic and Williams win the prize, best male and female tennis player. Just quickly before you go, Patrick, tell us all about your book, Champion Mindset, forward by Coco Gauff, and it says coach yourself to win at life. So it's not just tennis.
Not at all. I think that the mindset, as I was just said, the mindset makes you what you are and what you will be. And I think, I mean, as I said, all the champions have a special mindset. I'm not saying everyone can be a champion. I don't believe everyone can be a champion, but what I believe is that if you start thinking more like a champion, your life will change. And I did it for myself when I was a kid, and I explain that in the book. I had no chance in life, zero, because of the way I was feeling and the way I was thinking. It took me 10 years to change that. It was a tough journey, but it changed my life. And then I used what I lived myself for my players. All that I learned, I used it. And I think for a lot of players, it was they had a different career after that. So I just wrote that book because I think this can help a lot of people to make little changes in their mindset that will have a huge effect in their life.
Super coach Patrick Mouratoglou. We look forward to reading your book. That is Champion Mindset. Patrick, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Good luck with the book.
This is Sunday Edition on talkSPORT with Shaun, Custis and Henry Winter. And next up, we'll discuss England's World Cup draw and the locations of the games.
There's a lot of talk about the independent football regulator. Some people love the sound of it, others...
Sunday edition with myself, Shaun, Custis and Henry Winter. The World Cup draw took place in Washington on Friday, eventually, once we've got past peace prizes and various other bits and pieces. And England were drawn in Group L alongside Croatia, Ghana and Panama, while Scotland got Haiti, Morocco and Brazil. Now, the good thing for England fans is that Wednesday the 17th of June, we play Croatia at 9 o'clock English time, play Ghana on Tuesday, June 23rd at 9 o'clock English time, and then Panama on Saturday, 27th of June at 10 o'clock English time. The bad news for Scotland is that they play 2 a.m. against Haiti on June the 14th, 11 o'clock at night against Morocco on the 19th, and 11 o'clock at night against Brazil on Wednesday the 24th. So I think we can say England came out of this okay, although they maybe could have had a slightly easier group, Henry.
Yes, they could have done, but, well, let's take them game by game.
Can't have everything. Kick-off times aren't bad.
Yeah.
Suit the players. Suit the players. They're
Modric, it's going to be I think it's either the 7th or the 8th time he will have played against England, which is a remarkable sign of his longevity. And he missed out, actually, one of the games in.
And we're indoors, of course, for that.
And we are indoors, and that is an important thing. I mean, showing my age a bit, but I covered USA 94, and it was melting.
No indoors there in any of those games?
I think there was one. Was it the Pontiac Silverdome?
No. But we've covered England indoors before, which was Japan and I'm reminded Gelsenkirchen as well.
Yeah, it was Gelsenkirchen indoors.
It was.
Sapporo was.
Sapporo was indoors.
Yeah,
like what seemed like a cinema to me.
Yeah. Well, it was a movie.
Beckham penalty against Argentina.
Yes, and one of the England players running through the mix zone shouting, "That was for Saint Etienne." Remember that well. The revenge. Always a bit of revenge in the air, but yeah, it's. I don't think it's the worst draw. When you see it, I mean, England know they're going to have to hit the ground running. If they can beat Croatia, given the way they sort of draw, and basically, so many teams go through, England should be there. But Ghana, I mean, initially I thought Ghana, because of their sort of low FIFA ranking, or lowish FIFA ranking, that they're not going to be much for a threat. But they will be a threat. Absolutely huge. And then Panama
won't be a threat.
6-1. It was 6-1 out in Russia, so that should be fairly straightforward. Look, and this sounds like classic English arrogance, but if England do well in the first two games, they might be able to rest one or two players for Panama.
There's some talk about where England should have a base. Some teams don't even have a base at all, actually. They go on a road tour. I think Portugal were planning to do something like that rather than base themselves anywhere. There was talk originally of England being based in Kansas and going to each game. It doesn't seem much point if you've got two games on the East Coast.
It should be East Coast. surely.
Yeah. So, Florida, Miami.
Well, the initial base is in Miami. And the last time England had a base in Miami, you and I were there getting blown away by these extraordinary...
It's 2014.
Hurricanes, before Brazil, the hurricanes that or tempest.
Still quite enjoyed it in Miami. It's a good place to warm up.
It was good. Were you there when we had to take shelter in the back of that gardener's van outside the corner from England training? We went into, it was absolutely teeming down with rain. England training got stopped, so we went into, this guy had a lorry there who was doing sort of local gardens, and we went in there, and he had a chainsaw, and he had sort of assorted garden instruments, and then he just had like a machine gun hanging up at the back of his thing. So, welcome to America.
I missed that one. Do we worry about the heat, the travel, the general hugeness of the World Cup, if you like? Because we could have to play Mexico away. I know we're getting ahead of that.
I worry slightly more the fact that the players, certainly the players in the Premier League, won't have had a winter break.
Well, they're going to get a little bit more rest because we start the World Cup late, 6 days after. Look, all players don't get rest, do they? There'll be plenty of players in the same situation.
Yeah, but 9 of our starting 11 won't have had a winter break. Only Bellingham and Kane will.
We always go on about that with England, but we mustn't keep making excuses. You just got to, I suppose, get on with it. I don't think that's the worst. I know ideally you might want to kick off time a bit later in the evening, local time.
We don't do great in heat. Remember Manaus.
We don't do great. And indeed, Tuchel was talking about keeping the players off the bench and in the tunnel, the substitutes, to keep them out of the hot weather.
Yeah, I don't like that because I think I understand why they did it in the Club World Cup, but I don't like that because I think substitutes actually need to be picking up immediately the rhythm of the game and actually sort of seeing it in front of their own eyes and being emotionally engaged in the game rather than sitting in the dressing room waiting to be summoned in like a sort of doctor's waiting room.
So having seen all this, what do you think England's approach should be now going forward?
When Tuchel turned up at Wembley the first time to do his first press conference, he said, we are going to attack the World Cup with the intensity of a Premier League team. And a few people there present sort of stuck their hands up and said, that's a little bit dangerous out and the heat at the end of a long season. So I think the key thing is you've got to have obviously you've got to play with width, and England have Gordon, your guy who played well yesterday, and Saka. They will have the pace out wide, they will have the width, but they've also in the central areas, Anderson, Bellingham, assuming his 10, and Declan Rice have to keep the ball. It's just going to be key to keep the ball.
You've assumed Bellingham's 10, have you?
Well, don't you think he will?
I don't know. No, I'm just saying there's a lot. Some won't even get in the squad, possibly.
I know. That is going to be the number 10 who's going to get left out.
Are we on 5 or 6 candidates? Yeah.
Well, are you including Grealish as a 10?
Am I including Dewsbury Hall nowadays?
Yeah,
I wonder.
He's playing well. Yeah. I mean, Madison as well, if he comes
out. So there might be 8 for...
If you're including Eze as a potential
3
10?
spots?
What, as a 10?
No, 8 of those to get 3 places in the squad?
Yeah, I think that's right.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah, the announcement is going to be...
big players.
But you know what? The broader picture is that how well the academies have done, EFL, Bellingham, and obviously the Premier League academies in developing players.
In developing number 10s.
Well, no, but this was an FA, without getting too technical, this was an FA initiative. They talked to the academy directors and say, we are not producing these ball controlling, these tempo setting, almost these Modric types we've been talking that long, as a number 10. So all the Premier League academies and the coaches, fantastically, they've developed that. They're now trying to do it with number 9s.
So are you going to worry about what the squad should be now? Or
no, because we'll go through the metatarsals, we'll go through all the sort of, the issues with form. I actually feel less worried about the makeup of the squad this time because England have got so many options. A few months ago, we're having a debate about who England's left back will be, and they've tried, 9 or 10 left backs in the last 18 months at left back, right footers playing on the left and all that. But I think, Livramento can easily start for England at left back, and he might not even be the best left back at your own club if Lewis Hall is absolutely flying and he's a natural left footer and you want to sort of keep that balance on the left. Then you've got O'Reilly's come through at Manchester City. I have a slight concern. It was ironic seeing Rio Ferdinand, one of our best ever centre halves, hosting the draw, and it just reminded me of 2006 and the quality of centre halves that England took there. That is an issue for England. After Stones, Concert and Gay, there is a bit of a drop-off.
What about Scotland's draw anyway? We must have a little look at that. Obviously, the Brazil match, you want them to get to that last game with a chance.
That is going to be a really interesting game because if Brazil win their first 2 games, will they rest, I mean, they'll still have fairly good players coming in.
Can't Scotland win their first two? Haiti and Morocco. I mean, Morocco's obviously quite a difficult one, but Haiti should be a victory, let's be honest.
Yeah, although the Scots have said that about teams in the past.
But Scotland-Brazil always evokes great memories and sort of about it. Well, 74-0-0 was a bit of, was a bit of a weird one. But David Nary's
what a goal. That did slightly poke the bear.
It did slightly. Yeah. What was it, 4-1 in the end? But that was fantastic. Yeah. So it's a weird rivalry, isn't it, Scotland v Brazil?
Your mate McAllister played in '98, didn't he? In the 2-1 game in Paris. I think he did. What a game that was. And it's crazy to think it's taken them so long to get back there. But yeah, look, the Tartan Army, I mean, what an occasion that would be, that game.
Everybody at the draw, certainly Infantino is telling us this is going to be the greatest World Cup ever, the biggest World Cup ever, the greatest spectacle, etc., etc., etc. Lots of people worry that it's a bit too unwieldy. Is he right?
There's a rhythm with tournaments. There's a lot of focus, inevitably, and rightly so, on the negatives, on the concerns leading into it. And the main concern for me, apart from Infantino's ego, which is clearly a sign of his own insecurities and his desire to be loved by political leaders, the main concern for me, absolutely climate change, the travel, player fatigue and all that, it's just the cost. The cost, I was talking to an England fan yesterday, the cost that it's going to be for them to travel around, it's going to be crazy.
To say nothing of the ticket prices themselves.
Particularly after a tournament like Qatar. And I was talking to one fan yesterday who was saying Russia he found very cheap. Qatar, obviously, you could do it almost on their equivalent of an Oyster card, getting around between all the games. But this is going to be huge, and fans are going to get ripped off. And I just wished Infantino had shown a little bit of humility, a little bit of stepped outside his bubble, and actually acknowledged the fact that cost is going to be an issue and how much he admires the fans. Whether he changes the ticket prices, I can't see them doing. And the dynamic model is an absolute concern. But that is going to be the running theme throughout the tournament. But so the usual rhythm is you go in with all these negatives, so the first ball gets kicked, and then you see a Messi, an Estevao, a Bellingham, a Rodgers, whoever's going to star for England, and the footballers take over, and the brilliant Mexican and the Moroccan fans take over, and the Tartan Army takes over, and the defiance of the England fan, and it becomes what the game should be about, which is the players and the supporters, and we can forget Infantino.
But you're looking forward to it?
Absolutely. It's my 10th World Cup, and I cannot wait. And it's a big World Cup for England, because this has to be Harry Kane's last World Cup. And if England, I can't, what is the future for England without a number 9?
Should we worry about that after we?
Well, I completely agree with that. Let's take each round as it comes.
Indeed, we will. You're listening to Sunday Edition, and we're going to finish up by looking ahead to today's games. final part of Sunday Edition with myself, Shaun, Custis and Henry Winter, and talkSPORT has teamed up with Pitch Experiences to bring you an all-out VIP experience at the PDC World Darts Championship at Alexandra Palace on 23rd of December.
You and 3 mates could be living it large with platinum seats, fine dining, a complimentary bar and exclusive access to the 501 Lounge with Russ the Voice Bray. Then it's straight to your prime table for the best view in the house as the darts drama unfolds. Get ready for an unforgettable Ali Pali Christmas, and here's how to enter.
For your chance to win, text darts to 83338. Text costs £2 plus your standard network rate, or call 03434 217 508. Lines close at 4 p.m. on 18th of December. That's when you need to answer your phone if it rings. 18 plus UK residents only. For your chance to win, text darts to 83338 now. This is a network promotion. Full T's and C's at talksport.com. Now then, the inspirational Kevin Sinfield is running an incredible 7 ultramarathons in 7 days to raise money for MND charities. He's already completed 6 of the 7 over the course of this week. Final legs taking place in Leeds today and will be concluded when he runs into AMT Headingley Rugby Stadium, the scene of some of his finest moments during his glittering playing career. Here's the great man to tell us all about it.
After an incredible day in Dundee, we returned to Yorkshire for the 7th and final day of the 7 in 7 Together Challenge. We were incredibly grateful to pass the 1 million mark again. We never dreamed we would raise so much when we set out back in 2020, but I can honestly say that every single penny will help towards research and care for the beautiful M&D community. I can't wait to see everyone on the way into Leeds, and please come out and support if you can. We have got 3,000 Santas joining us, and at the end, at Headingley Stadium, it should be a really, really special afternoon. Thanks for all your support, and keep donating if you can.
To donate to this incredible cause, just text Kevin10 to 70143. That's Kevin and the number 10 to 70143, or search 7 in 7 Together. And Kevin Sinfield will be joining Jeff Stelling and Ali McCoist on tomorrow's talkSPORT breakfast show to discuss his incredible achievement. And indeed it is it not?
It's extraordinary to do that. I mean, the thought of doing one. Day after day, I mean, it just shows. I mean, we've been talking with Patrick, the amazing tennis coach, about the winning mindset.
I think Kevin's got the champion mindset, don't you?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Yeah, he could write that book as well.
Absolutely astonishing stuff from Kevin. Now, there's a couple of games on today. Brighton, West Ham, Fulham, Crystal Palace. Just before we get to them, I know you're quite keen to have a little word on Spurs, Henry, who I saw on Tuesday night when I went up to St James's Park. We were robbed. Although everybody tells me we shouldn't have had a penalty. But 2-2 draw. What struck me, it was really weird. Thomas Frank spent, because at Newcastle, the press box is right by the touchline. Thomas Frank spent most of the time outside the dugout, directing operations, pointing, shouting, screaming. And I didn't see any Tottenham player engage with him at any point. They didn't even seem to listen.
So your point is they're not listening to him?
I don't know.
Sorry, hasn't it?
Or they're hearing it and getting on with it without looking at him.
Or isn't it more to the point that it's actually quite a loud stadium and your fans are quite close to the pitch and they might not literally been able to hear him?
He was shouting and directing quite a lot.
Yeah,
it was just an observation.
If you're the fullback over the far side, are you going to hear him?
The fullback on the near side didn't seem to either, I've got to be honest. But hey, it's just an observation. Just saying what
your fans are fairly noisy. I think you're being a bit disrespectful to the St James's Park crowd.
As I say, I'm just saying what I saw. And there didn't seem much engagement between players and manager, but they got a draw there, had a good result yesterday. And as you say, he is a fantastic manager, Henry, so I'm sure he'll sort it out.
And what, don't you rate him as a manager?
Yeah, I did. But I found this a little curious, I must admit. Yeah. And he has, let's be honest, it hasn't always looked like he's gelling with the players this season, has it?
No, and there was obviously a desire from some of the fans for Xavi Simons to start, and headline in the Sunday Telegraph, Simons sparks into life to lift the mood at Spurs. And yeah, I mean, I think that was a good result over Brentford. I mean, the flip side of that, can you imagine if Thomas Frank had lost to Brentford, to his old club at home? I think the Spurs fans would have become very restless. But look, they're right to back him. I thought he was wrong to call out the fans as he did recently over the sort of the criticism of Vicario. But yeah, look, all seemed well or better yesterday. Defence played well. But Romero, he seems to be a one-man winter break ready to happen. He keeps getting booked.
Yeah, that's amazing. Strange overhead kick the other night, got to say. Shinned it past 4 defenders and the goalkeeper. Wasn't the greatest, but hey, well done him for getting Spurs a draw. I mentioned Fulham Crystal Palace, which is a 4:30 game. Seems to be a little bit of trouble at Millard Palace at the minute, off the pitch.
In terms of Steve Parish, in terms of having...
Rucks with reporters.
Yeah, and it's never a good idea to have rocks with reporters because, hey, they're sort of the messengers and, the fans, want to know. It does seem a little bit strange. But also, maybe we're a little bit overly biased towards Steve because we like him as an individual and he's one of those rare owners or co-owners who actually does sort of open up and there are lines of communication. He is a Palace fan and he communicates with fans and that should be cherished because not enough owners do that. So I think it's slightly strange. I would be less worried about his relationships with 1 or 2 reporters and more worried about making sure that he has a strong relationship with Oliver Glasner because Glasner is just so important for them.
They're still doing pretty well on the pitch, currently 6th place. Brighton, West Ham, what do you think of their chances of staying up?
West Ham's chances of staying up? Well, they should be all right.
Should they? They're 3 points adrift now.
Yes, but 2 look down already. Wolves are a mess. Burnley, was it a few defeats now?
All right, so West Ham should be all right. Who isn't then? If you think West Ham are going to be all right, and Leeds have rallied like no tomorrow, and Forest had a bit of a dash bounce and now gone back a bit after yesterday's defeat.
Yeah, look, I think you're right. West Ham are probably in the frame, but Brighton. But they're aware at Brighton. That would be a tricky one for them. But you just look at some of the players, and they did have a sort of brief pickup recently. If they can keep Callum Wilson fit, get him firing, Jarrod Bowen obviously sets the tone. I quite like Potts. I don't know whether it's because he sort of emphasises or embodies the academy, the name, everything about him. I think the way he puts himself, there seems to be a little bit more sort of mobility in midfield. So I think they'll probably be all right. But look, you have a very legitimate point. I couldn't actually say with any degree of certainty who would be the third one who is at risk. And that's partly because the team you hate mentioning, Sunderland, have come up via the playoffs and they have done superbly. And I think you should give them credit.
I will. I think they're doing very well. We started this show talking about Mo Salah after his explosive interview last night. I'm going to finish it the same way. Lots of texts and WhatsApps coming in. Morning, Barry says. He says he's a Man United fan, but regarding Mo Salah saying he's been thrown under the bus and all that he's done for the club, what does he mean? What has he done for the club? Isn't that his job? Isn't that why he gets paid admirably? The club owes him nothing. They've invested in him and he has repaid that investment. It's a job, contracted out. Do your job.
Okay, 420 games, 250 goals, 113 assists, 8 trophies, including 2 Premier League titles and the Champions League. Okay, so you can say that's doing his job, but that's doing the job quite well. In cricketing terms, he'd be allowed a 4-day golfing trip after that.
Yeah, I think he would. And Tiny says, sorry, not Tiny, Christian here, an Arsenal fan, but I've got to say I feel sorry for Salah and Robertson. Feels like Slot is trying to justify his high spending by shoehorning Wirtz into midfield. They still have the league-winning trio from last season, so why change it? And Salah has played the same for the last 7 years and never been questioned before because of the work the other players were doing. So, now he's getting a lot of stick for his defensive work. Well, he never really bothered about that before, did he?
No, I think the stick for the defensive work is that he's not actually supplying the assists and the goals, which would allow a little bit of laxness in terms of not helping out defensively.
So what's going to happen?
I think he's going to have a fantastic AFCON.
Do you?
And then
but maybe not go to Milan on Tuesday?
I
know, big call that, isn't it?
Well, he's still under the bus. How do you take him out, though, after that? That is, as you say, so explosive, it's difficult to come back from that. The club have to take a stand.
They do. Anyway, as I said, Brighton v West Ham is at 2 o'clock. Fulham Palace at 4:30 today. And remember, you can keep across all of today's action with Game Day Live from 1:30. That's it for us from this week. Up next, it's the warm-up with Max Rushton and Barry Glendenning.